Perfect. Good morning again. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Karima Ramji. I serve as Associate Director for International, Indigenous and Accessibility at the University of Victoria's Cooperative Education Program and Career Services. It is my pleasure to welcome you today to session 8 of the UVic Employer Symposium. To begin, I'd like to acknowledge with respect the traditional territories of the Lekwungen peoples, on whose territories the University of Victoria stands, and the Lekwungen and Wasanish peoples whose historical relationships with the land continue to this day. This session is titled, What Are You Missing Out On When You Don't Actively Hire Students from International Pathways? Our presenters have set aside 10 to 15 minutes at the end of the session for your questions, so please do submit your questions in the chat. With that, I'm thrilled to welcome our presenters for today, my colleagues Landa Crockatt, career educator at Continuing Studies, Amy Chen and Sheri Love, who are both co-op coordinators in our Business Co-op and Career Center. And we also have special guests joining us today, and I will let Landa and her team introduce them to you. Over to you, Landa.
Thank you so much, Karima. Welcome, everybody. We would like to welcome our employer panelists who are joining us today from Redbrick in Victoria. I will pass it over for introductions, but we'd like to welcome Mariana Bretado, People and Culture Coordinator, and Roopam, People and Culture Business Partner from Redbrick. If you just want to share a couple words and welcome.
Yeah, of course, I can start. Yeah, I'm so excited to be here with everybody. I am Mariana. I am originally from Mexico City. I came here to Canada to study. I have a post degree in human resources and leadership from Camosun. And eventually I have a co-op here at Redbrick. And now I am transitioned for full-time and I am the people culture coordinator. Yeah, it's a little bit about me.
Great, thanks.
Thank you. I'm Roopam and I'm from India. I came here 3 years ago and I have 5 years of experience back in India as an HR business partner. And I work as a business partner here in Redbrick as well for the last 1.5 years. So excited. We were part of this last year as well. Again, thanks for the opportunity. And then we love it being the panelists for UVic students and the society. Yeah.
Thank you so much. So we have a series of discussion questions that we'll go through today. Ahead of time, we did send the questions to our other colleague, Kabir Hossein, who's the Director of Strategic Initiatives with Sports for Life. So we will be including his responses throughout the session and really appreciate him taking the time to give us his thoughts as well. I'll take a moment to introduce as well my fellow co-hosts for the session, Amy Chen and Sheri Love, who are both joining us from the Gustafson School of Business Business Co-op program. They both bring several years experience working with students as well as areas such as immigration, advising, and recruitment. So thank you so much for being a part of the session as well. And today, Amy will be sharing Kabir's thoughts for us throughout the session. So we really appreciate that. Okay, let's get into some questions and discussion prompts. And then as your ideas come up for everyone who's joining the session, please feel free to add it in the chat or in the Q&A section. And at the end of the session, we'll save time to be able to all kind of connect there. So to get us started, we're going to talk about recruitment strategies. And if our team from Redbrick wouldn't mind speaking to this, what are some strategies that you found most effective when recruiting students from international pathways? And when you're thinking about these strategies or speaking about them, how do they differ, if at all, from traditional recruitment practices within your company at Redbrick?
I'd like to answer that. I hope I'm audible. Is it better now? Okay, awesome. So in Redbrick, we do not have anything specific for any pathways, be it international newcomers, we treat everybody fairly and equitably, and we try to be as diverse as possible. So when I was looking back to reflect on what is it that we do differently, it seems that everything is so interwoven in our processes and practices already. So as to speak, if a candidate applies, there is this acknowledgement application that goes to each and every candidate who applies for it. We have a detailed list of response to that, which talks about how long this process might take. What all steps are there? It's a Zoom interview with the people and culture as the first step. Second step is a quick coffee chat with the hiring manager. Third step is a take-home assignment. And fourth is a panel interview. So we try to break it down as much, even in the acknowledgement application. We also tell that this is a small organization, like 262 employees. It will not be, the resumes would not be filtered by any bot. It's humans. So it might be possible for us to provide a feedback or to come back within a stipulated time. We have mentioned like 2 to 3 weeks. It might take for us to respond, even if it is a rejection, even if people have not been moved to the next stage. So we try to be as detailed as possible in a job description itself. It also enlists about, it's so very clear that they know what's going to happen in 30 days or 60 days or 90 days. So the job description is very well defined and to the very finest of details. So, yeah.
And I can add that another strategy that we use as part of recruitment, we can say, for international students is that we have partnerships. For example, one of them is ICDC. We have participated with them in a mentorship program that its name is Mentor Connect. So the idea is like we Redbrick provide mentors and we connect with international students. And it's a great way to create a talent pipeline there. Also, Roopam and I, we have participated both in ICA. It's an association that also supports newcomers to Canada. We have conversations with this group and we talk about skills, job market. We talk about our paths as well, our personal paths, because Roopam and I, we are also newcomers. So we talk about our journey here in Canada to try to connect with newcomers. So that's other two initiatives that we do. And also we have participated in a lot of career fairs at Camosun and UBC. So that's another way that we can connect with international students.
That's great, thanks. Amy, was there any additional thoughts that Kabir shared with us that you'd like to add?
Yes, definitely. There are some similar themes, but then there are some different perspectives from Kabir. So Kabir works for Sports for Life and he's not able to join us today. Just for those folks who joined us late, I'm gonna be reading from his responses. So his response is, one of the most effective strategies has been partnering directly with organizations where international students already feel welcome, such as settlement agencies like the Intercultural Association of Greater Victoria that Roopam and Mariana just mentioned, and UVic's co-op coordinators. By building relationships based on trust with them, we learned how to craft job descriptions as well as share these opportunities at the right times. Unlike traditional recruitment, Sport for Life tries to highlight the experience of the role rather than only prior qualifications. This approach allows us to attract international students who connect with our mission and values, ensuring a stronger alignment and a more meaningful experience for both of us.
Awesome, thanks. So looking at kind of job postings and the interview practice throughout the interview process, we have a few questions to kind of discuss into that area. So looking at Redbrick, how does your organization ensure that job postings are accessible and inclusive for candidates from diverse educational and or cultural backgrounds?
Yeah, so as I mentioned, it's not particularly carved for anybody, but it's so very well defined and to the details that our job descriptions, it's very inclusive. We have something that is called as how your day is going to look like once you're part of the organization, like how the 30 days of onboarding process would look like, 60 days, 90 days. And then we connect with them after these 30, 60, 90 days as a business partners. So it's the same for everybody, but I think it also makes it helpful for all kind of people, be it different ethnicities, be it Caucasian employees. So we do not really differentiate that ways, but we try to maintain the fairness there.
Yeah, and to add to what Roopam says is that when we're looking or reviewing candidates, we try to consider their international experience. That's really valuable for us. And we consider a lot of the skills, the education that they have. We don't look about names or ethnicities. So also another thing that we kind of consider in our job description is to have an inclusive language, not try to emphasize on gender. That's another way that we ensure that are inclusive. And also we have a co-op program that is really robust. So we have a lot of partnerships with Camozong, with a lot of schools in Canada. So that helps us a lot also to have more inclusivity in our sourcing. So yeah, and also I can tell about that when it comes to data here at Redbrick, our workforce, we have 30%, sorry, of newcomers in our workforce. So we consider that as well. We try to monitor that. And yeah, that's another thing. And also, we hired a lot of contractors. So we have employees basically around the world. So that also gives us a lot of international perspective, which we really appreciate here at Redbrick.
Yeah, just to add on to what she said, when she said that we don't look at the names, we don't look at the experience, we only highlight the skills are important to us. If the relevant skills are matched to the needs of the job, we will go ahead and do the next rounds with the candidate. And contractors worldwide, we're global. So it does not really make any difference to us whether sometimes the job requirement is so niche that we need employees and contractors from other countries. So it's more about creating that culture and the diverse environment in our organization itself, that we are kind of made that way, that we appreciate the diverse culture as much as possible. And then there was another point that I'm missing here. Maybe once we come to the next questions, it'll come to me.
No problem. Thank you so much. Amy, did you want to share any additional thoughts there?
Yes. So Kabir commented on they focus on crafting postings that are clear, welcoming, and avoid unnecessary technical terms. Instead of credential requirements, they highlight the flexibility and the learning opportunities within the role, making space for diverse educational pathways. Sometimes they also review postings with newcomer serving partners to ensure cultural relevance and accessibility.
That's awesome. Great. So Redbrick, what are some of the best practices that your organization has implemented to make the hiring process even more inclusive? Or sorry, I think we're kind of speaking about that already. But what strategies have worked well in reducing unconscious bias during screening and interviews?
Good question. So we have a talent acquisition specialist who does all the hiring for us. We do partner with them. We have a hiring plan. So the first step for our specialist is to connect with the hiring manager, note about whatever the process is, how it's going to look like. And then there's a scorecard that every person on the panel. So first is the people and culture talent acquisition specialist who has the interview. They have their own scorecard. Then it comes to the coffee chat, just like a quick 15-minute technical assessment by the hiring manager. He will have his own scorecard, and then we have a panel interview in the end if they're successful in these 2-3 rounds. All of them have a different scorecard. Nobody talks to anyone. Like if I have a personal inclination towards one particular candidate, it would not be rallied down to the other members of the panel. All will have a weighted averages, and in the end, whosoever ranks the most gets the job, right? So there is no bias, nothing as so forever, like whatsoever. And this is how we try to cut down on this unconscious bias, which kind of comes in. Maybe somebody looks like me or somebody talks like me. I could be the hiring person and I might be more inclined towards them, but that does not really work. So that's one way we try to cut down the unconscious bias.
Yeah, we try to make decisions more on based evidence than more about perspectives.
Yeah.
And hearing from your friend at Sport for Life, Kabir.
So at their organization, instead of asking for Canadian experience or credential requirements, they focus on transferable skills, adaptability, and alignment with their organizational values. They also use gender-neutral, inclusive language and avoid jargons. So I think some themes along the line as well, just to be clear, setting the expectation to focus on the transferable skills and the alignment with the values.
That's perfect, thanks. So we've gone through all this work through the screening process, interview process, make a job offer, it's accepted, and now we're onboarding somebody. What onboarding practices have you found most successful in supporting international students as they join the workforce?
So post the candidate gets an offer letter and the employment agreement, they are sent an email by our coordinator, which has all the details that they need for the first day. And post they start, like the first day, whether they're remote. And I also wanted to mention that if we, in our job description, mention it is going to be a remote job, hybrid, or in person, we mean that. We don't mean that if you say remote, that you'll be still required to be in the office 1 or 2 days. We do not operate like that because we have half of our population, which is in the other part of Canada, and we have very few that are from Victoria. So we have, as I mentioned, contractors all over the world as well. So remote means remote. And if the person is in person, they come in the office, they have a set orientations planned by the coordinator. She goes through the systems, the tools overview, all the HRI systems that we use, things that are pertinent for them to know on the first day. And then we have an IT orientation. Like everything is so very well planned, and they have, if they need the credentials for, we have one of the browsers, one of the portfolio companies that we have is Shift. It is a browser, it is a productivity tool. And then if they need details for that, that will be provided as well. So way before they start, 1 week in advance, they would have all the username, passwords, everything that they need to be very ready for the first day. And to make it, again, like it's not only for the international students, it's for everybody. So everybody feels the same. And yeah, so it's very well defined, and the process is very streamlined with all the orientations, meeting up with the hiring manager, setting up a table. It'll be way done in advance. They would not be just wandering around. We have also shared the map of if they're coming in person, where exactly they're going to come and meet the office manager. She's going to take for the round. So it's very well planned that ways.
Yeah, and also just to add to that, part of our benefits, I think, also support a lot of our international employees. For example, one of our benefits is that we have a personal significant day. And that means that if a stat holiday here in Canada happens, but you want to exchange it for a personal significant day that actually happens in your country, you can exchange that. So you can work in the stat holiday here in Canada, and then you can have your day off based on the significant day that you have in your culture or in your on your country. So that's one way that we can also support international employees. And yeah, I think Roopam nailed it, how she explained really well our onboarding. And yeah, we try to welcome them, and I think that's part of our culture, like collaboration, kindness. And I think that's really deep in our values. So we try to feel everybody welcome. And so yeah, I think that's like our main goal here in Redbrick.
Also, to add on to that, we have a drive committee,
Oh,
which is, yeah, so she runs it actually. So it's a drive committee that any newcomer, international person joining in, they would be told about what all happens. We have our monthly learnings as well. And one of the topics sometimes is
Yeah,
cultural
related to
perspectives,
diversities.
with the
Yeah.
cultural perspectives. So they're introduced to this. We have a really big like a pride parade too. Like this is a very different topic of diversity, but yes,
Yeah.
we make them feel welcomed to join the committee if need be. They feel more comfortable when they know that there is a committee which they can go to, and you want to contribute something, they want to start something. So yeah, so we have that too.
We take care a lot about our diversity, and we consider that it's really important. And as I mentioned, part of our workforce is newcomers. Is basically we're actually collecting a lot of data year to date, and half of our workforce is from different ethnicities. So I don't know. We try to monitor that and to really take care of diversity. So yes, from the onboarding, we're explaining what we do, what our diversity initiatives. Ruben mentioned we have a committee, we have a lot of activities related to that. So I think that's important to mention since the beginning, so they can also feel supported.
Yeah, and talking about the numbers, like 50% Caucasian, 50% other. So that's also a big thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I hope that answered the question.
No, that's great. I just know it's nerve-wracking for any young professional to start in a new job. And so what I love to hear about how Redbrick is doing it is by being really organized, even sending their password information, login information the week before. It's so nice to think about a student starting in the work, or a young professional, or a newcomer starting in the workplace and having their first day, like just being able to feel prepared, have a map, know where to go. And then I love what you shared about the different committee ideas. I think that's a great tip for other workplaces that want to attract and retain young professionals, but also especially from international pathways. So those are, great tips there for other people to take and consider too. Yeah, and this is a good sharing session where we're sharing ideas. So thank you so much for sharing some of those.
Yeah, of course.
Amy, was there anything else to add to that?
Yes. So at Sport for Life, they have flexible orientation sessions that start by understanding what the student would like to get out of the experience, and then clearly outline the expectations and their organizational culture. They also try to provide some time for the student to reflect on the onboarding experience before jumping into the work. So there are also staff members who are immigrants, so they offer checking with the student if they would like. They think everybody took that opportunity, and they, along with their supervisors, have indicated that it helped a lot with building the culture in the office.
Great, yeah, so that sounds like an example of a little less structure or formal way to do it, but still the same idea of providing that in-house mentorship and kind of sense of belonging is really cool. So overall, we're just wondering about the title of today. We're wondering, what do you miss out on? What do Canadian employers miss out on when they're not considering hiring international or students from international pathways? So what are some of the benefits that you've seen, or advantages or fresh perspectives brought by international hires that have benefited your team at Redbrick?
Yeah, of course. Well, we kind of talk a little bit about diversity, but yeah, basically having a diverse workforce from different nationalities and countries, I think that gives us a lot of fresh perspectives. especially our industry that is technology, we have to be constantly being innovative. So bringing those fresh perspectives helps a lot to the business to stay ahead and innovate. And another thing is that international students bring with a lot of skills like resilience, proactiveness, adaptability. So those skills are transferred to their performance. And at the end, that impacts also the business. So we consider that a lot. And that's basically one of the main benefits of hiring international students. Also, it helps a lot to conflict resolution because bringing different perspectives also improves their managers to improve that skill. But yeah, that's basically the benefits that we can have of hiring international students.
Right. I think leaders too benefit from having different team members from diverse backgrounds. They would also know what skills or how they need to the language, the inclusive language that they need to speak, how they need to be with different backgrounds. So it's a learning for them, and everything kind of boils down to the growth, the revenue, the benefit for the employer, right? So everything is like win-win-win for everybody to have the international and the newcomers in the company. Totally like the fresh perspectives that they bring in. Look at us. We are the examples too. We are representing Redbrick. We both are immigrants. We both are newcomers. It's my 1.5 year, maybe hers kind of 2 years. Yeah. So it also it's an added advantage here, which we don't, it's not a direct, but an indirect. You have a good say and a good place in the market too, because we are very diverse. We believe in diversity. We have the drive committee. We have a good representation from different backgrounds. So we have more of the women focus as well. We have Toast. So we have partnership with Toast, where we look for women in tech, and we're trying to bring our diversity with respect to women in technology more. Our number today might be 20% of female employees in IT at leadership level. We are striving every year to be better. And so all in all, it's a win to have diverse backgrounds, newcomers for a company.
Thanks so much for sharing that. And I know at the start you mentioned that it's also so embedded already in the hiring process and in onboarding processes. What I love about what you mentioned is and what kind of Kabir was speaking to as well, is the opportunity that you have when you just look at the students' skills that they're bringing and how good of a match they are for the specific job you're looking at based on their technical abilities and soft skills and everything, rather than their name or their address or which countries they've previously gained experience from. So removing all of that and just looking at the best fit for the job and fit on the team. I think then the benefit of that is being able to have better, higher skilled workers for the role. And if that comes from international perspective, that's even better, right? Like what a bonus.
Totally. I would want to quote an example here because I did the hiring. So we were in need for a Chromium employee, which is very hard skill to find in the market. That particular employee, he had worked previously with Microsoft, and he had a problem with English as a language. He was from China, but we did not look at which origin he was from. His skills were so pertinent and so important for our role. We gave him a chance. We gave him a chance for 1 year. And then now it seems like he's doing so great. He's learning his English on the side. He's taking his lessons. And we're also looking at giving him a promotion. So it does not really matter to us. If you're able to do your technical skills, if you're able to do your job, and on the side, you're trying to even help yourself with English to communicate even better. Yeah, so that's what matters to us. Product, in the end, the output matters. It doesn't matter who is coming from.
Yeah, it is really important. And I just want to add to that because sometimes and I'm talking about myself, as an international student, you want to undermine your international experience because you consider that having a Canadian experience is more important. But there are some companies like Redbrick that actually that value your international work experience. And as Roopam mentioned, like considering your education, your skills, that you're able to make the job, that's actually what matters, not where is your work experience comes from. Yeah.
True.
Yeah, I love that you're thinking about those transferable skills. It's so important. That's awesome. And then from our friend Kabir, Amy, did you have anything you wanted to add to that point?
Yes. He also has some benefits sharing here. So he said international hires bring fresh perspectives, creativity, and problem-solving approaches shaped by diverse educational and cultural experiences. Their unique viewpoints often challenge established assumptions and inspire new ways of thinking, improving team innovation and decision-making. Additionally, their global networks and cross-cultural communication skills enhance collaboration and strengthen their organization's capacity to serve diverse communities, aligning directly with their mission and goals. So Kabir himself is an international hire for Sports for Life and can attest to this directly. I personally connected with Kabir a year ago in a networking event, and I was so inspired by his personal story of moving to Canada, knowing nobody, build connections from the ground, and then now he's the director leading that whole organization. It's just so inspiring to hear different stories.
That's great. Thank you so
Yeah.
much, Amy. We do have a little bit of time. If Sheri or Amy, if you wanted to share your perspective on that from a co-op perspective or from the previous hats that you've worn, do you have anything that you'd like to add in terms of what are some benefits that you've seen for employers who are hiring international students?
Sure, yeah, I can pipe up here. So I do counsel a lot of students who are doing co-ops and they're international. So right off the bat, they're coming to Canada. Usually they've only been here less than a year or just a year or so. So their networks are very small. So what we like to do is show them what benefits they do have. So most of them are second language learners. So rather than hiding that or not showcasing that on their resume, we do try to get them to start off in jobs where a second language might be an advantage, like the tourism business or any hotel or anywhere where they're going to see their second language or third language as a benefit rather than maybe their English isn't as good as domestic students. So trying to get them to play to their strengths right off the bat is something that we do counsel right away. So that's just one thing I can think of. Amy, anything you want to add?
I'm going to ask something from more like the immigration perspective. As many people know that it is highly possible to hire international students during the co-op and also after they complete their education in Canada. The last year has been challenging, lots of policy changes, but the thing that I'm seeing on the ground when I worked with these talented international students on a day-to-day basis, I heard that when they feel valued, when they were supported by organizations like Sport for Life and Redbrick, they actually could showcase their maximum potentials. And I saw that. I saw that some students went from not feeling confident to present themselves in the job applications to like really standing out and then even overcame all the challenges and became the top candidates. I've heard so many great and successful stories. Yeah, so I have to say immigration could be tough, but I think those talents deserve opportunities to, really maximize their potentials and, have a chance to stay for longer.
For sure. Thanks so much for sharing that. Thanks for bringing that immigration perspective too. It's an area that I know employers potentially have questions of and applicants where regarding their work permit or eligibility to be an authorization to be able to work. Roopam, I know in our discussion yesterday in our meeting, we were talking a bit about that. Do you want to share our thoughts on that area too for how Redbrick is kind of handling that?
Sure.
it is essential for us, for the candidate to have at least 1 years of work permit have with them so that they can work, because we're putting in so much efforts in recruiting and there's a lot of cost, energy, everything going in. But we never mention about it in our job posting. We don't say that people who have Canadian experience should only apply, or the work permit people should not. As I said, we do not look at the names, we don't look at anything. Skills matter. If everything looks great, we move them to the first round. That is the people and culture interview, right? So during that time, very subtly, the specialist asked this question about the expiration date, like how long is it valid for, just for information, because it's not viable otherwise for us to hire somebody. And mostly, we have also been supporting our IT employees with LMIAs as well. So it doesn't really matter to us whether they are on the work permit, are they permanent resident, are they on temporary basis. It doesn't really matter. It's just that we need a little bit of insurance that they're going to be with us for 1 year, because we've been putting so much of efforts in there. And while I was mentioning about LMIA, I'm personally taking care of that. One of the employees whose work permit was expiring when LMIA had 50 points associated with it. The sunset happened last year in April, or this year in April. He has actually benefited. We as an employer did provide him with the LMIA, which helped him getting the PR too. So we are making all the ways possible. Another thing, completely forgot. So we have another policy that we just started for all our newcomers who wants to have the consultation with respect to the pathways for them to achieve PR. We have an external consultant for immigration consultation. We give up to 2 hours for each immigrant, like employee, who wants to consult with the consultant about to know, like, what is the best way, what should he do, what he or she should be doing to make his or her score better. So that's also another benefit that an immigration or a newcomer gets with us. So that's like, if we do put in a lot of money as well in this, our employees, our people matter. And if they are in our Redbrick office, if they're a part of our Redbrick family, we will try to make sure that they stay with us for as long as possible and try to help them with their process for getting the PR. Yeah.
That's amazing. Yeah, I love that. I think it's a great plan to have that 1 year minimum to get that return on the investment as an employer for onboarding. But then that was my follow-up question, is that, what immigration advising support have you seen work? And having it in-house is just awesome. It really shows a commitment to supporting the folks through their whole process. And then Redbrick really benefits from retaining that talent too. So I think that's a win-win.
It is.
That's awesome. So I would love to turn it back to everyone that's been kind enough to join us today. If there's any questions, I don't see many in the chat, but we could go over to the Q&A part. So to do that, if you just see the 3 dots in the more section of our Zoom call, you'll see the Q&A room. And I believe if we would like to head there for a Q&A session for about the next 10-15 minutes, we're welcome to do that. Karima, did you have any other points to that you'd like to make prior?
No, I was really fascinated to hear about all the initiatives that Redbrick and Sport for Life has. Thank you so much for sharing. I think it's so encouraging to hear this, that, there are employers out there who are really trying hard to be inclusive. Many years ago, I should say, it was about 2016, 2017, I was involved in a research project with our provincial organization called ACE-WIL BC. And we did a research project entitled Employer Perceptions of Hiring Students from International Pathways. And it was really interesting to see the variety. There were, I think, 4 key viewpoints that came out of that. And when I say viewpoints, I mean like broad statements that we inferred from the responses that we got that are not attributed to any particular employer type or anything, but just general worldviews, so to speak. And they range from SFIP, students from international pathways are great, we love to hire them, to no, they just don't fit. Right. And then there are others, and another viewpoint was we look for merit only and nothing else matters. Right. So it was interesting to see the range. And as a result of that, we saw the need for creating some resource that we could help employers with. And so we did create a toolkit. And I'm going to just put a link in the chat. You'll see there's a video as well as the toolkit itself. That is a toolkit. There are 6 tools that were designed to help employers be more inclusive of students from international pathways. So while it is a little dated, it is still valuable information that could be helpful to everybody. But thank you. I really appreciated the insights. And Sheri, your story about getting students to really work to their strengths at the beginning. Many years ago, I was a co-op coordinator in business co-op, and that was my strategy, because we have many partners in the tourism industry, and placing an international student who's very nervous about, first of all, being new to the country, worried that they're competing with other students who are so much stronger in the language department, so to speak. And not sure how they're going to do. Having them succeed in their first work term is such a booster for them. It's almost as a trampoline, right? So I used to have students who would work for Rogers Chocolates, and then their next work term would be in the internal audit department at UVic, right? Just that the confidence boost that comes in with the opportunity to actually have a meaningful work term where they have been able to use their competences in a meaningful way to benefit the employer. So I might have a question for you that actually makes me think about the fact that this may still be happening, but if a student were to come to you as an employer, say in a mock interview or something, and is really is really nervous about the fact that they're very new to the country, they don't have Canadian experience, because, some employers still think about that as the first question that they want to ask, right? Or what they want to look for Canadian experience on the resumes. What would be a conversation that you might have with the student?
Good question. So first of all, our CPO, she's Christine, and she completely believes in diversity when it comes to us as employees from different backgrounds, because as you said, we come to a new country, we know nothing about the country. That shows that how bold or how audacious could we be and can survive, and also then land a job. That's like, it shows about the resilience and the commitment that we have and the hard work that we put in. So it's not seen as a disadvantage, or it's not seen as something that they can work on. This is a strength. So being an international immigrant, getting into a school, doing a full-time job alongside with a full-time education, it speaks volumes. Like, how can you balance so well and then still able to do really great in a school and then still try to get a co-op and then part-time and then convert it into a full-time job? That's all as a strength. That's seen as a strength, and she believes in it. Like our CPO, she completely is committed and believes in this, that this is an advantage. We know this. Like, go ahead, let's not even have a discussion around it. And then that's what we talk to even the students. I've been recently to the UBC Career Fair, and so many people, so many students came to us asking about the jobs. They were a little hesitant in the beginning, but that's the first thing that we tell them, that you are seen as an advantage rather than a disadvantage. So you should just calm your nerves. Don't even think about this. Just concentrate on the skills that you have, the projects that you have done. Bring that to the table. The rest does not even matter to us. If that speaks to us, all fine. So you impress the panel, the hiring manager, with your skills, with the knowledge that you have, the expertise that you have, the projects you have done, the hackathons you have done. That's it. That we don't even look for anything else. So we recently did a the study too, like we have a very robust co-op program, as Mariana was referring to, UBC, UVic, from other universities from different part of Canada. 40% become full-time employees with us. So we have a really good record of that as well. And mostly it is dependent upon the requirement from the jobs. People don't leave us, so we don't really need any backfilling. If we are growing, like we are growing, if the roles, there's a need in the team is growing, if we need to put up the job, that's when we go out for, or the co-ops get converted into full-time. So yes, to answer your question, that really doesn't matter to us. If English is your second language, you are nervous about how you're gonna look like to the employer, we try to make them calm about it and give our examples and Redbrick's culture, the flexibility that we offer. If we say remote, it is remote. Yeah, so things like that.
Yeah, I just want to add that. It's because when you ask the question, it comes to my mind an example that actually we hired someone from Brazil, and obviously she didn't know nothing about Victoria. So we prepared a resource sheet for housing, transportation, even groceries. How you can, everything detailed on how to move and how to live in the city. We sent that to her, so she felt like more calmer, obviously. And also we sent her like a checklist of all the things that she has to do, like for example, her BCID card, the MSP, like SIM number, all the things that she had to be done. So yeah, I think it depends on the case. But yeah, we try to support people if they are like new here in Canada, like bring a resource sheet, for example, for them. Yeah.
And then we are the ambassadors. We are the ambassadors. We speak for Redbrick, and it's like evident.
That's great. Wonderful. Thank you. I think that resource sheet should be shared with all employers who are hiring international students. That's amazing. I think the possibility for collaboration among employers, even us, when we think about, we bring in students from other from other countries, right? And I know our teams do a wonderful job of pre-arrival training and all of that. But perhaps there is an opportunity for employers to come together and share resources like that when they're hiring international students. Just a thought. I think it would be fair to let others ask some questions. Anybody in the room with some questions? Thank you though for those insights.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, it's a pretty quiet group. Well, I hope that everyone in the audience has benefited from this conversation. I want to thank Landa, Amy, and Sheri for organizing this and coming up with some really fantastic questions that got us all thinking. And thank you, of course, to Roopam and Mariana for joining us, taking the time to engage with us on the value that students from international pathways bring to the workplace. It's also very kind to hear from Kabir, who I know was not able to join us, but it was appreciated that he shared his thoughts with us.